Enthusiasts, rejoice! Your dinosaur burnin', way too loud for your neighborhood burden, and lively apex slayer journeyman is not on life support. Internal combustion engines are alive and well, and they likely will be way into the future with a $75 million investment by Porsche into e-fuels. But it isn't an easy time for us.
It seems just like yesterday we were trying to save the manuals. Today, it seems like we're doing whatever we can to save internal combustion engines. Both lobbyists and the public are fed up with auto manufacturers building massive gas guzzlers, seeing as transportation accounts to about 27% of all of our greenhouse gas emissions here in the US.
Proving that the change to EVs is inevitable. Or is it?
Because, well, Porsche claims that the future is full of internal combustion engines. And although synthetic fuels are currently in research mode, if produced efficiently, could help dinosaur-burning motors get closer to carbon neutrality.
They're not the only ones pushing for this. Toyota is partnered with Mazda, Subaru, Yamaha, and Kawasaki on their quest for carbon neutrality. But why not just go all in on EVs? Well, let's dig into the reasons automakers are investing big money into alternative fuels to not only save us enthusiasts, but save hundreds of thousands of jobs. Let's go. Let's take a step back into early 2020, which marked a big year for Porsche.
They, as we all did, found out about a virus shutting down the world, and they also introduced this awesome EV called the Taycan.
Most people see this and other EVs, well, as the future, but there are still people like you and me who would rather see the future from behind the wheel of our gas-fired machines.
And surprisingly, Porsche wants to see a future with internal combustion engines too. The problem is, well, the pollution. EVs emit significantly less than cars with an internal combustion engine.
So how is Porsche gonna make these cars with stricter emissions and governmental regulations? They think that they can get gas-powered cars as clean as EVs, which sounds, dicey at best. But they are an engineering firm that happens to make cars. Just like how Tesla, well, they're a tech company that just happens to make cars as well. So Porsche aims to do it with special synthetic fuel, which it all sounds amazing, but can it be proven? In order to test Porsche's new synthetic fuel, we're gonna have to break it all down. Chemistry style, baby.
Typical internal combustion engines either use gasoline or diesel to run, but emit harmful nitrogen oxides, like nitrogen monoxide, which is then oxidized to nitrogen dioxide. And nitrogen dioxide is terrible for the environment, and it contributes a lot to air pollution.
Like, a lot.
Luckily, all modern cars have these fancy things called catalytic converters. These catalytic converters and other emission-related equipment are able to dilute and reduce the harmful gases before coming out of your tailpipe. While these systems help, they unfortunately aren't able to fully dissolve these harmful pollutants, but they are able to take the harmful products of combustion from nitrogen oxides and break them down into nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon dioxide.
Now, remember how I said that cars contribute a lot of air pollution? That's mostly due to carbon dioxide,
which is one of the biggest contributors to global climate change. In order for Porsche's e-fuel to be viable, it has to be carbon neutral.
Being carbon neutral is what most eco-friendly companies are aiming for, and that just means that it doesn't emit any additional carbon dioxide into the environment. Unfortunately, with the way that internal combustions, well, the emissions of CO2 is unavoidable. So how is Porsche going to be able to save the internal combustion engine all while going carbon neutral? Are they going to be able to create a special new engine that doesn't create any harmful pollutants? Well, no. Carbon dioxide is the byproduct of any combustion engine.
All internal combustion engines take air and mix it with fuel, and they ignite that air-fuel mixture to get the reaction, which makes your car move. Now, the results of that combustion cycle is always energy to power the car, but you're also left with some byproducts of the reaction, which are CO2 and water vapor.
So, you gotta be asking yourself, what is Porsche doing in order to save the internal combustion engine? Well, they're creating a new type of fuel.
One that promises to burn cleaner and be better for the environment. It sure seems like a lofty goal, and that's why most automakers are straying away from internal combustion engines and toward EVs.
But not Porsche. Yes, they did just crush the Nürburgring fastest EV time with a 7.33 lap in a Taycan Turbo S. So you'd think that they'd be EV high, and yet they see a future where they clean up the combustion cycle, but in a way that's unconventional. So the problem today is that the byproduct of any combustion cycle is CO2, which is harmful for our ozones. So you'd think that they would try and find a way to eliminate the pollutants. But Porsche, well, they're trying something totally different.
You see, today most gas companies drill for their crude oil out of the Earth's crusts. They send that oil to refineries, which converts the oil into gas that we use to power our cars. The gas is then combusted in our engines and more CO2 is released into the atmosphere.
And the cycle continues.
Gas companies continue to drill for that precious black gold, which gets used in cars and polluted into the atmosphere. While that is what we've been doing for hundreds of years, Porsche, well, they want to flip the script. They want to be carbon neutral by not creating any more CO2, but they still want to run internal combustion engines.
The key to my heart, well, and the key to this project is in the fuel, or what's called hydrocarbons.
To be carbon neutral, these hydrocarbons can't be taken out of the earth.
And Porsche, they know this. So what if, instead of mining hydrocarbons, Porsche, the engineering firm, went off and made their own hydrocarbons?
Now, this might seem quite complicated, but both hydrogen and carbon are elements that are quite easy to come by.
For starters, we have hydrogen, which we can get from H2O or water, and for the carbon, we can extract it from the air. Now, it's not all that simple because we need to get the specific hydrogen and carbon molecules from their more complex structures.
In order to find hydrogen, Porsche needs to use an electrolyzer which uses electricity to break down the structure of water into its base elements, hydrogen and oxygen. This endothermic process only gives us half of what we need. Next, we need carbon, which is a bit more challenging than hydrogen because it's in our atmosphere and we can't see or hold carbon dioxide like we can with water. So, the way that Porsche plans to filter carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere is most likely going to be with an electronically powered panel that is able to separate carbon dioxide from the air.
And once they have the CO2 and hydrogen, they can go back to using a form of electrolysis to combine the two ingredients. The results are a synthetic methanol water mixture. But after continued electrolysis, methanol would be converted into gasoline.
The process would convert two methanol molecules into a dimethyl ether and one water molecule.
Which is good news for diesel cars,
as dimethyl ether is a synthetic alternative to diesel fuel.
But who are we kidding? No one makes any exciting diesel cars.
Lucky for us, this dimethyl ether can be converted into gasoline through additional endothermic steps.
And the result of all of that chemistry is the right mix of hydrocarbons needed to run an internal combustion engine. So, did Porsche crack the code and save internal combustion engines? Well, it sure seems like they would be able to create a carbon neutral fuel. Unfortunately, that's not the entire story. You see, each step necessary to extract the hydrogen and carbon needed for the fuel uses electricity, and a whole lot of it. So, the only way that Porsche could make it truly carbon neutral would be if they could get this power from renewable energies.
Like solar, wind, or hydro energy. Building a facility that has access to all these resources is one of the biggest ways for Porsche to truly achieve a carbon neutral fuel. With the world as their oyster, Porsche chooses to build in Chile, seeing as there's an abundance of wind and over 2,000 hours of sunlight per year, which makes it the ideal spot for renewable energies.
And using those renewable energies to create a fuel from pollutants that are already in the air is the key to Porsche's special e-fuel and saving the internal combustion engine, which could make EVs obsolete, baby!
Not only does producing an EV contribute significantly to climate change, but EVs get their energy from the grid. And if you live in a state like Delaware or Rhode Island, you're gonna get more than 95% of your energy from fossil fuels. Each and every time that you charge your EV, you're burning fossil fuels.
With Porsche's e-fuel, you'd be able to go to a gas station and fill up your fuel that isn't going to release any additional pollutants into the air. Take that, EVs. I bet you're wondering, why this fuel hasn't been invented yet. I mean, well, Einstein isn't around anymore, but it also just comes down to dollars and cents.
Existing utility companies have their own streamlined methods to extract, refine, and distribute oil and gas. So trying a different process would not only be costly, but time-consuming as well. And auto manufacturers typically aren't involved in the gas that goes into their cars.
Until now. Porsche is taking action and actively trying to save the internal combustion engine by spending millions and allocating precious resources to save it before it's too late. But there is also this ulterior motive here for Porsche, Toyota, Subaru, and all the other manufacturers really that build ICE cars. If they can crack the code to make it cost effective to convert internal combustion engines to using e-fuel, it would make it so all these companies with all these decade-old existing manufacturing plants and supply chains, the ability to keep hundreds of thousands of employees that they'd otherwise have to let go when they switch to a full EV output. Plus, companies like Porsche that have so many air-cooled Porsche 911s and other Porsches on the road, they can keep them on the road with e-fuel and, well, make money servicing them, which with EVs, you really service nothing except brakes and tires. The money will keep rolling in if they can keep ICE on the road. And that is why these manufacturers are going to try like hell to save the current supply, but also the future production of internal combustion engines. So yeah, we better bet on it. They're not going anywhere. Let us know in the comments below. Are you gonna drive an ICE or an EV in 2050? I wanna know. Also, if you're new here, I'm Brad, this is Ideal. Please subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and go check out this blinker fluid starter pack up here, or what YouTube recommends you watch down here. Also, go check out www.ideal.media to go snag some swag, some hats, some stickers, you know the drill. Promise me one thing, keep living the ideal lifestyle.